G'day class users and funders, Christopher from the NACLAC class team, and today we're going to look at what has been updated in the last couple of weeks because quite a few of you have been seeing the changes. Not everyone reads all the emails, we get that, and it's good to run out a video to just quickly explain what's been going on. So the last class update over the last couple of weeks has included multiple report count glitches, all fixed. A lot of you guys reported in and we've fixed most of those big problems. There are a big bunch of new reports with additional functionality, so they're very much worth having a look at when you got the time. And accountability, so for those states that use that is the interface between centres and the SBMs. The mechanism itself has been considerably improved and a lot of glitches removed, and the reports, the accountability reports, are also considerably improved and work a lot better. Many reports now also have office or outreach filtering, so a lot of you big centres who have multiple offices, that's going to be a bit of a breathe out. Similarly, if you're using a lot of outreach places, you can, not for every report yet, we're still talking about that and trying to improve that, but for quite a lot of the existing reports you can now filter by particularly outreach locations and look at your service counts and client counts, etc. A lot of simple menu fixes, a little bit easier to get around class. And finally, we'll also show you quickly that the documentation has been considerably improved, and that is always going to be a work in progress. Okay, let's go take a look at some of this. And here we go on the class message board, which of course we always continue to post any urgent updates or issues with the application. First thing probably worth showing you is, yes, when you click reports and accountability, that is for you administrators who have access to this, it actually now takes you to reports and accountability. Amazing. So that's very helpful. If I click on reports, it gives you a quick idea about what's going on with a bunch of the new ones. You can see a lot more basically. I'm going to walk you through some of these in more detail. In particular, you do want to know about CO3. It's kind of a massively beefed up CO1, so that's a client count being C for client. So the other things you probably should know is the M, which is the accountability ones. Just because it is accountability doesn't mean it's not relevant. Sometimes there are ways of counting things for centres that don't even use accountability. Most of you know by now that you've got the family violence indicator. They came in at the beginning of the year. And a bunch of other things, including the drill downs. Now, how do we find out in more detail about that? Well, we head back to the message board and click on the online training guide. That's a quick way to go straight over to it. Here it is in Confluence. For the big changes and some of the big improvements, reporting and accountability used to be under the admin manual for admin workers, but we pulled it out to its own thing because it's getting pretty big and worth looking at. First one I'll just click on here is the code. So back over here you can see that the prefix code actually does mean something. I've mentioned C for client. So essentially the C reports count clients in some way or another. S for services, M for management I've mentioned, which is basically the same as accountability. You've got particular MPA reports and a couple, not very many, dividing up the world by problem types. You can also see, for those who've been around the sector for a while, the old name for the reports, the CILSIS reports, and the new name. Now, if you see blanks here, it means that the report doesn't exist. However, for the majority that are here, you can just click through and head in straight to the documentation on that particular report. For example, here's the purpose. The notes are quite useful as well to check out any kind of known issues or sort of maybe slightly unusual or unexpected sort of count formulas or way they work. If we find glitches, we'll add them to the notes as well and then remove them if that glitch is fixed as well. I wanted to show you a quick example of what has been added in the filters section. If we click on something like a CO7, by way of example, we can now see that, for example, we go start date and end date, it'd be fairly familiar to you. And now we've got catchments, and we have by the whole centre, which is what you always had. And that now we can actually choose, like say by office location, and choose, just one or a couple of offices, not all of them at once. And similarly, we could go to outreach. So if your centre uses outreach, you can actually click on a number of them or just one of them to get a further breakdown of counts and things like that. Similarly, the demographic filter is basically talking about priority groups. I'll walk through this in more detail in a separate video by giving you CO3, which is really a really cool report. So lots of things going on. Have a good look at them, and you can check out inside the updated documentation, or you say client reports, what's going on with the NPA reports, different things like service reports and all the different counts. And just to show you an example, if we click on one, we've added a sort of introductory paragraph, just sort of showing you the purpose of that particular report, why it exists. Of course, the reports were based on CILSIS reports from the old database, but a lot of them have been updated for the purpose of the new national data standards, etc. So if you look at the purpose, you can quickly kind of look over what it's trying to achieve. So this is only the first of multiple monthly releases and updates to class we expect. Things are looking pretty good again. Geolocation is now testing, and that is where we'll be able to get breakdown of figures into areas such as all the different 3 levels of government: state and Commonwealth electoral divisions, local government areas. We've got postcodes and suburbs. You'll be able to break it down by all the Australian Bureau of Statistic type codes, so SA1s, SA2s, SA3s, SA4s, so Indigenous codes, the various ways Indigenous areas are dealt with, and also remote areas. We know a lot of people are really hanging for this. We have been testing it. It's in advanced testing stage. It is looking very, very good. We have even successfully tested exporting Excel spreadsheets of figures, putting them straight into National Map. If you don't know what that is, just Google National Map. Is a pretty amazing resource for all kinds of level of government data, and it'll basically put the figures straight into National Map, and really great for understanding, doing cross correlation work and things like that. The do-it-yourself reports, again, a lot of people really asking for this, screaming for it. Even we hear you loud and clear. It is in testing. This is a big job, but again, looking very good. We've got more drill down reports coming, and 2 of the releases forthcoming are also cover about 100 glitch fixes. A lot of the things that you guys have been asking for quite a long time now. So things like copy service function, client deduping is a really important one, and lots of improvements to things like the intake and triage processes that really need to get fixed as quickly as we can. We're working very hard on it in the NACLAC class team, and trying to, shall we say, push our developers along as quickly as possible to build this stuff and get it stable. So that's what I've got right now. You'll be hearing from me without a doubt very soon about more releases. Chris Bro signing off.